Welcome back to Yachting Around and happy Wednesday. And I'm excited to have Iain Lawrie from Merle Wood and Associates join today. So, Ian, thank you for popping on. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Megan. I'm glad to answer and enlighten you to some of my life and lifestyle.
Can't wait to hear it. So, you've been in this industry for 30 years with an extensive background in managing brokerages, especially in the Middle East. How did you find your way from where you were to where you are now there in Fort Lauderdale with Merle Wood?
Well, to cut a short story long, I was actually working for Merle Wood in the early 90s, and during the Asian financial crisis and subprime, I lost a lot of money during that time. And for some reason, the phone rang and they were interviewing brokers in Dubai to come over there and start working. So I went over there for an interview. I licked my wounds and moved over there just by selling my G-Wagon, which I had at the time was the only cash asset, and moved there in 2008 until 2011. I was Middle East Salesman of the Year, voted by Arabian Yachting Magazine 2 years in a row. I sold quite a lot of azimuths and three or four new Benetti yachts. And then after the first year, it was great. The second year, the novelty wore off a little bit. And the third year, it tends to just get a little bit too monotonous living there. Dubai is a great place to visit and stay, but it was almost like a tour of duty for me. So after that, I left and moved to Hong Kong.
Oh, so how was that?
Well, my Hong Kong experience was interesting as well because in the subprime and the Asian financial crisis, I shipped about 36 boats from Asia back to the States from 1997 to 2001, which we were buying for about 25 to 35 cents on the dollar. So I had extensive experience over there, and I partnered up with the oldest Lamborghini dealer in the world, called Leo Wong. He owned a company called Kingsway Cars, and we started the Princess dealership for Southern China in 2012 until 14.
Wow. Okay. Given your extensive global experience, what changed most in sales and the yachting industry in general since you started and been all over?
It's become more of a, I mean, when I was working on boats when I first got into the business, it wasn't so regulated. It's being a little bit more regulated. It's more professional. Not just anybody can work on yachts these days. You have to be properly vetted, qualified, and trained to a higher level than you were in my day. That's changed. But also, I think one of the things that's changed a lot are the people that design yachts and are in the construction side of the business. They've never been to the sea, so you don't get yachts built to a standard which would be called a nautical standard. In my day, it was a very taboo thing to have anything with a square edge. Now, every yacht is square. Rounded edges were always the way on any draftsman or architect's drawing board for yachts. You can only have round edges for two reasons. If they're on the side of the boat, you can get cracks easier. If they're inside the boat, you can puncture your lung easier. The design element of yachting has changed a lot because most of these designers have never been on a boat, so they don't understand, the implications of sharp edges.
That's super interesting.
Well, I think, with what yachting companies have done or builders have done in recent years, they're trying to get as much volume into a yacht as possible, and they sacrifice um, the space. Well, no, they sacrifice the design for the space. So it's all about square footage. It's like being a realtor these days. You're not selling yachts for the sleek sexiness of them. A lot of yachts are being sold by the square foot. So it's a different dynamic.
Interesting. What is your all-time favorite yacht?
The one that I can sell for the most money and make the most commission on.
Fair enough. So, what's your philosophy in building relationships with these ultra high net worth individuals, especially maybe in cultures where discretion is valued more than others?
I think building relationships is a slow, it's a slow, trusting technique. You have to start often you start with clients in their small 50, 60 footers and you move up with them. But, trying to grab a billionaire from nowhere, you have to now have the presence and the background and the sales history, such as Merle Wood Associates does, to be able to facilitate transactions, with 60, 70, 80 million euros plus, and 100-meter yachts. My boss has sold 400 or 500-meter yachts over the course of his career, and we deal with a lot of Middle Eastern sheikhs and princes. We deal with a lot of oligarchs, or we used to, and of course a lot of American billionaires. And that's only through our reputation and being in business for almost 40 years.
Absolutely. So, what sets buyers apart in different countries?
Different buyers have different reasons for owning yachts. I mean, the Asians, they love to own yachts, but they hate the sun and the water. The Eastern Europeans, they love yachts, and they love the sun and the water. But the problem with the Eastern European market, as you know, the Russians were the biggest segment of the market, followed probably by the Ukrainians and the Kazakhstanis, and they're all out of yachting for now due to the current war over in the Ukraine. So the biggest yacht market for larger yachts by far is still the US market.
Okay. And how do you find that buyers' behaviors have changed?
Well, I think it's, you know, but at the higher level of the world of selling and buying yachts, their income and their lifestyles don't change. If you've got 20, 30, $100 million in the bank, it doesn't change your buying mentality. You might have your reasons could be different for buying, but your position to be able to buy doesn't change. What we have noticed in very recent times is that the market has changed in the smaller end of the market. For instance, the $5 million and less, 75-foot and smaller market has slowed down a lot, where the 80 to 100-foot market, $5 million or more, has increased significantly in recent months. And maybe just in the last week or so, a lot of people have taken money from the stock market. So I would anticipate before the end of the year, when people are trying to take, their bonus depreciation and things like that from their tax advisors, they will be buying yachts, which is something which people can do as well, because now you can buy a yacht and have 100% bonus depreciation in the first year.
Yep, good to know. That won't be me, but also good to know. Yeah, and being that you help build and scale such a large brokerage in the Middle East, what kind of lessons have you learned, in doing that?
I think, yeah, the lessons you learn is you have to understand specifically the culture and the trades and traditions of the people you're dealing with, especially the Asians and the people from the Middle and Far East. They have, very particular, you know, religious um, habits and traditions, and the Asians as well. So you just have to be mindful of their cultures and act accordingly. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. I always say little and listen a lot.
There you go. Understand and be understood. So, from your point of view, what kind of trends are up and coming in 2026 in the industry as a whole?
I think there's going to be a lot. I mean, the trends are going to be a little bit of a downward trend, because what we're not really 100% familiar with is the tariffs. The tariffs are going to affect yacht sales depending on what region you're buying your yacht from. The Italians, I think, they've got a tariff of 20%. The British, I think, because we're allies with the Americans, have got tariffs of 10%. But I think it changes. It's not always etched in stone. It seems to be a little bit on a whim. But this is something that we need to understand a little bit more going into 2026. How we're going to sell yachts with tariffs, and how we're going to get around the tariffs, because there's going to be certain ways of flagging your vessel and registering your boat where you'll be tariff non-applicable.
Got it. So, do you have any sort of strategies that you guys have in place preparing for all of that?
Find a good lawyer. We sell yachts and we advise our clients on what we think they should do. But when it comes to flagging a vessel and taking offshore delivery or American flag, paying the taxes, paying the duties, paying the tariffs, that's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. So we rely on good maritime attorney expert advice for our clients.
Oh, okay. So, with emerging technology, are you guys implementing any sort of AI in your daily operations, or how is that changing for you?
Not really. I think it's, it's a personalized business. It's a one-on-one discussion business. There's no AI creation that I think certainly will never replicate my boss, but it's AI is only good for understanding the technological advances in the building of yachts and comparisons of different pieces of machinery and equipment. It's just going to speed up the understanding process of building or the way which a yacht is put together compared with another one. That's all that AI is going to be able to do for us.
Okay. Yeah, Merle Wood's been around for how many years? Like 35?
Probably close to 40 years.
Yeah, and clearly you guys have a great name and reputation. So, what works well for you guys on the sales team or in the different divisions that you have?
Yeah, I mean, within our company, we have specific brokers that specialize in certain sectors of the market. Um, you know, there's a couple of guys that specialize in the 40-meter plus. There's some people that specialize in, from up to 60 feet. My sweet spot, I work from about 60 to 130 feet is what I'm comfortable in doing, but I sell smaller and I've sold bigger. So it's just a question of who fits in what market and has got the most experience in what sector becomes the expert within the brokerage company that we have here.
That's great. So, yeah, essentially, you guys are highly specialized in, your area. You guys face like certain challenges. I know we talked about the market and the tariffs and the buyer behaviors. Is there any sort of day to day, you know, challenges or annoyances that you guys deal with?
I think some of the challenges that we have, is how to get our products to the marketplace, how to find new clients. Um, and sometimes we're kind of going back to basics in a way. Everybody's into digital marketing. We've gone back into full print and magazines and flyer marketing because we feel that if you put a magazine on someone's desk or put it come through the mailbox, at least they'll touch it, feel it, and look at it. Maybe if it's got a glossy picture of a yacht on the front of it before they throw it away. It's much easier to delete a solicitation on your computer than it is to throw something away, which is a nice printed glossy piece of paper. So it costs more money. So our marketing dollars, we're spending more marketing dollars in different areas rather than just digital and social media.
Okay. Yeah, I like that approach. So, how is that working out? Are you guys seeing some good results?
Yeah, we send out about 50,000, mailers a month to various people across the world, and it's a select current clients and potential clients and yacht owners and hedge fund people and VC people, and big CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, their home addresses. We target market specific people because our packages that we send can sometimes cost us up to $20, $30 an individual package because they're not just mailed. Our high profile clients that we're soliciting, we want a signature and we send them by via FedEx. So our direct target marketing is good, and also we send bottles of Dom Perignon to our clients as a hello gift. I don't know if I've got any, I actually probably have got some right here. So you see this is what goes out to some of our clients who in the marina. This is a bottle of Dom Perignon. I don't know what vintage it is, but typically we have good vintages. Let's just have a look at this one. There you go, 2009.
Beautiful.
So this is one of our sort of welcoming gifts to the marina that we give out. My boss has given out tens of thousands of bottles of Dom Perignon over the years, and this is what we do to get people's interest and attraction.
Absolutely. It's hyper personalized and you don't see that anymore. So that's very
Um,
smart. And
yeah,
who
thank you.
wouldn't want a bottle of good Dom right now? Awesome. So you've been involved, I looked on your LinkedIn, with the material composites, right?
I'm personally have another side business which I'm a partner of, which is relevant to the yachting industry and so kind of relevant to what we're talking about. I have a company that manufactures most of the carbon fiber ladders that go onto the side of a yacht, the boarding ramp. So it's a very interesting business because it's a niche business. There's only half a dozen companies in the world that make carbon fiber products for yachts, and I'm one of them. So um, on all yachts, you have a side boarding ladder that you get onto the boat with. Most of them are made of aluminium, mine are carbon fiber. So it's like having a Timex on your boat or a Rolex on your boat. They both do the same job, but one does it in style and comfort and elegance. And it's a it's a piece of art. It's jewelry for your yacht, is what I also am involved in. So that's another part of the business element, which is interesting because a lot of big yachts get to know me via my carbon fiber products, not just the company that I work for.
That's amazing. So how long have you been in business with that?
Uh, it started off as a hobby and about 10 years ago, and slowly grown the business to quite a substantial business. Um, it actually commands a little bit more my time than I would like, but also, I'm selling a lot more products. So I always have a couple of $100,000 of inventory in stock, so I'm obligated to move the stock. But that's not a lot of stock in comparison of what a ladder costs. One of these stairs can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000 for the side of your yacht.
Good for you. I could see how it could lead to way more opportunities.
You get to know the captains, the owners get to talk about their ladder, and it's another avenue to sales.
Perfect. Well, is there anything fun and exciting for you on the horizon coming up?
Thanksgiving and doing not much is on the horizon. But going into the winter season, we start to go over to the Bahamas and the Caribbean a bit more, do some prospecting. We have a company yacht called the Claire, which is a 100-foot Hatteras, and that we go out, load that up with Dom, and go to all the marinas in the Bahamas and down to the Caribbean on a crusade every year around from Thanksgiving until the middle of January.
If you need an extra hand, just reach out anytime. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. Well, do you have any final send-offs for us?
Wish you all the best on your show. The more people you talk to and the more podcasts you do, I think it will be good for you and good for the business.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, you had a podcast as well. Do you want to share where they could find that?
Yeah, I sold a yacht to a very I won't name him because he doesn't need any more followers than the 52 million that he has. But I made a 8 episode show called High Society Toys with Iain Lawrie, Yacht Edition, and I made 8 episodes which are edited. It was factual, funny, and kind of entertaining all in one. I don't know if you got to see any of them, but there's 8 of them online, and they're interesting. And I should have really been on Netflix at this point, but I've been too busy selling yachts.
It's never too late. That could be your goal for next year. So I
Yeah,
can't wait to
possibly.
tune in.
Well, anyway, Megan, thank you for inviting me on the show. I've got to get back and sell something, otherwise I get in trouble. And I'll see you sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Unless you had a terrible time, then I'll come by and say hi next time I'm
Thank-
by.
Bye.